Hey y'all, it's Care. First things first, seahorse earrings. I was equally excited to show you my seahorse earrings as I am probably to talk about these books. They're so cute. When they jiggle, they like make this noise, and I don't know if you can hear it or if it's because it's so loud because it's right next to my ears, but like, I feel like I get... Okay, so kind of semi-recently, I put out a video where I was talking about thriller books and horror books that you should take to the pool. Things to read in the summer if you want to be creeped out, stuff like that. Books that I have read that I wanted to recommend to you guys. But this video is going to be different. This is going to be everything that I want to read this summer. I'm not going to divide the TBR up by genre this time. Instead, I'm going to put everything into one of three categories. The first category I'm going to talk about are summary books that I am currently reading. Next, I'm going to move on to books that I want to read purely because they have like an amazing summertime feel, at least based on the synopsis or the cover or things I've heard about the book. And then the third category is going to be full of new releases. So there will be new releases in the other categories as well, but this third section is just going to be more about like, these don't necessarily have to do with the summertime in particular, and instead these are some books coming out in June and July that I'm really looking forward to reading this summer. You've probably heard of most of them, but maybe not all of them. I don't know. So let's go ahead and get started because I'm so excited. It feels so weird to say that it finally feels like summertime here in Georgia. I feel like usually I'm sweating my pants off by like April and May. But then this year I feel like it's only been sweltering hot the past week. So I don't know. I'm really ready to film this because it feels like summer. Okay, so category 1, books that I am currently reading. Let's kick things off with the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix because I am in the middle of this book right now. I started it earlier this week and I can't get enough of it. I'm on page 184. Actually, I want to show you what this looks like without the dust jacket as well because it's this beautiful mint green color. And then at the bottom it says Town of Mount Pleasant Public Library, South Carolina, with like a little library number on the bottom there, and then the end pages are a pretty tangerine, like the peaches on the front of the book are orange. No, those are peaches. This book takes place in South Carolina in the late 1980s, and even though the story starts in November, I feel like the bulk of the story is happening in the summertime. So time is passing throughout the story, and it's about this residential neighborhood and the women who live in this community. So these women used to be part of this super uptight, boring book club, and then some of them split off. They branched off to make their own book club where they're reading exclusively true crime books, horror books, mysteries, thrillers, things like that. And I feel like a good chunk of the beginning of the book feels more like literary fiction or historical fiction to me, but don't fear because the horror is coming. There is a mystery at the center of everything, but this is a horror book. It's not really scaring me at all, but there have been some really gross images I've not been able to get out of my mind. And at least the part that I'm at right now, it is summertime and things are going down out in the woods in the hot South Carolina heat, and it's nasty. I'm really enjoying this book so far. I'm also currently reading The Invention of Sound by Chuck Palahniuk, and it might be a stretch to put this one on like the summertime reading list, but it's something about the watermelon. I almost called this a tomato. The watermelon on the front of the book, it just feels like summer, the pink and the yellow, and it's super short. I've just barely started it. Oh, I have Christine's Peaches bookmark in there too. What a treat. I don't think the book really has to do with the summertime. It's just about this man's decades-long search for his daughter. That's like part of the story, and then the other half of the book is about this woman who creates the noises behind horror movies. So I'm guessing that's what the watermelon is on the front. And apparently she is on the search to find the perfect scream. And somehow both of these stories are going to intertwine at some point in the book. I'm throwing it on there because of the watermelon. Next, I'm also currently reading Camp Slaughter by Sergio Gomez. I'm pretty sure this is an independently published horror book because it's only available on his website and on Amazon because it is part of the Kindle Unlimited program. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that correctly. I don't have KU, so I'm not sure, but I did start this the other day. It is gross. It is so bad. Like this, I mean bad in like a good way. It's like bad. Let's just say someone has already whipped out a chainsaw and I'm not even 20 pages in. It's about this group of college kids that rent a cabin out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, and a cannibal lives in those woods. So again, I can't really tell what time of year it's taking place, but anytime we're out in a cabin in the middle of the woods and things are getting sticky and there are bugs, it's gonna make me think of the summertime. While I'm on that horror kick, I'm also currently reading Kin by, what is his name? Keelan Burke. Patrick Keelan Burke? Neil Patrick Harris? Patrick Keelan Burke. Not the same. I have read from this author before, but only short stories, and let me say, I have started Kin, and similar to Camp Slaughter, it is nasty. I've been reading horror books for a long time, and yet I feel like recently I've only just been sinking into like, oh, this is gross on a new level, but I'm really into it right now. And I actually didn't even read a synopsis about that book, so I can't tell you like what it's about, but I'm about 50, 60 pages into it, and I can tell you what I've read so far. It starts out with this woman who stumbles out into the road in the middle of nowhere, and she's all gored up. This woman is maimed, and she's very traumatized, and she's like dying, and she goes out into the road, and this father and son pick her up, put her in the back of their truck to take her to the doctor. And then we find out that she and her friends had been held hostage at this house out in the middle of nowhere, and it's full of this family of, I guess they're cannibal. I don't know if they're cannibals or if they're just evil people. I can't really tell yet, but we know that it's a super messed up family, and we also know that they know who rescued her and like took her to safety. I'm just gonna leave it at that because I don't really know where it's going at all, but it's just taking place in the summertime in Alabama, and I just feel hot and humid reading it. And lastly, for what I'm currently reading, Arsenic and Adobo by Mia P. Manansala. I am on page 96 of this book. It was my book of the month pick a few months back, and I knew going into it that it was going to be a cozy mystery, but I just wish it was a little bit more thrilling, at least in this mid part of the book. I think that it had a super strong start. It's about this young woman who helps run her family's Filipino restaurant, and one day in the restaurant, this woman's ex-boyfriend comes in, orders food, and then dies after he has eaten there. Well, like while he's there, he drops dead. So then everyone's like, oh my gosh, did y'all poison him? They have to shut down the restaurant, and that's really financially tough for this family. So our main character, Lila, teams up with her best friend and then like her best friend's older brother, who she used to kind of have a crush on, and they are trying to prove that they are not at all responsible for this ex-boyfriend's death. Something about this cover just screams heat to me and summertime fun, so we're throwing it in there. And then that concludes all of the books that I am currently reading for this list, at least. Now let's move on to all of the books that I am so excited to read because they have summertime vibes. The first one I have never heard of, but I bought it at Target last night because I saw the cover and was like, I've never heard of this book. It's called The Siren by Catherine St. John. Look at this cover, and it's blurbed by my queen, Karen White, on the cover there. So then let me give you the play-by-play of how this went down last night at Target. Here's the book sitting there. I saw it. I reached out. I had to touch. I thought, I've never seen anything so beautiful. Open the inside flap. Read the first half of the first sentence. In the midst of a sizzling hot summer. I just closed it and bought it. I didn't even read the whole rest of the thing until I got home. Like, this is a brand new release, hardcover, thick book. Never heard of this author. And that's all it took. And then it gets even better because once I got home and I started reading about this book, I see where it is about this group of actresses, actors, filmmakers, producers, whatnot, all on a boat going to this island, I think in the Caribbean. Yeah, and they're all going to film this movie called The Siren. And so once they get out there, they're out on this island, and these three women who are brought in to either act in the movie or produce the movie, whatever, they are very different women. And I think at first they kind of clash, but then they are united against a common enemy. And then there's a hurricane brewing offshore, like out in the ocean, but it traps them on this island and they can't escape. And you guys know I've been on the hunt for like isolated thrillers, but that take place in the summertime, or just anything where it's not snowy, because I just completely made snowy isolated thrillers my personality trait for the past year. And now I'm ready to branch out and like, let's put some people in the desert. Let's put some people on an island. Like, I'm really ready for that. And also, talking about the hurricane, you know I love a big storm in a book. So I'm actually gonna be starting this later today. I'm so toxic. I just showed you like a ton of books I'm in the middle of, and here I am starting a new book, but I can't help it. I'm going to the pool later. I'm taking this with me. I also really want to read Ghost Summer by Tanana Reeve Dew. This is a collection of short stories, and they're all going to focus in on dark fiction, horror, speculative, Afrofuturism. I can't think of anything else that I was reading about like what the themes of the stories were, but it's basically a collection of short horror stories that all take place in Florida in the summertime. It sounds right up my alley, and I have not read a collection of short stories probably since college. So I'm really excited to do that because I took so many like flash fiction courses, writing short stories, things like that. I took a lot of those for my degree, and here I am never reading them for fun. So maybe this summer that's going to change. I also think that that would be something really fun to take to the pool or to the beach, because you can read a story in a short spurt, you know, and then put it down, go play around, go splash, and come back, read another story. Genius. Next is one no one is going to be surprised to see me hold up, except for the fact that you might be surprised I've not read it yet. People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. It's my #1 most highly anticipated book of 2021. I've had it for months now, and I have not gotten past the first like 10 pages. I'm just scared to pull the trigger. Like, what if I don't like it? Or what if it emotionally destroys me? Last time I read a romance book a few weeks ago, like when I finished it, I vlogged this, so you're in for a treat pretty soon. But I was not okay. Tears streaming down my face, ugly crying, could not recover for about 2 hours. And like, I was telling my friends about this, they were like, we did not have that reaction at all. So People We Meet on Vacation is about these two friends who struck up a friendship, I don't want to say later in life, like in their 20s or something, and started going on these vacations yearly together. And then one year on vacation, they took things a little bit too far, supposedly kind of ruined their friendship, and now some years in the future, they've agreed to go on one last vacation together. It sounds so sweet. Like, I feel like I could get emotional just talking about it, and I barely know what it's about, and I've not read it. I know whenever I sit down to read this, it's gonna completely consume me for about 48 hours, and I just don't know when I have time to do that. But it is the same author as Beach Read, which we know that I love, and I am so excited to get to it. I didn't want anyone to think that like I started it and I'm not feeling it. No, I read the first little bit and I was so into it that I knew I didn't have time for it right now. So anyway, People We Meet on Vacation, super excited. Next, You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. As you can see, this was like an impulse Target buy. I don't have Target where I live, so when I do venture out like 45 minutes away to go to Target, I try to make my trips worthwhile and like pick up some books that I want to read. So I got this, I want to say like last fall, maybe even last summer. I can't remember. It was right after it came out. But it's about these telenovela co-stars who I guess they fall in love. I don't know much about it other than that. Apparently, just from glancing at the back here, these two don't have any chemistry together and like maybe don't even get along at first. But then they start rehearsing in private and they start getting along better, and then their chemistry on screen improves, but they're trying to keep whatever's going on between them a secret from everyone, and so things get messy. It sounds like a messy summertime read. The cover obviously looks super fun, and I just feel like this is one where if I don't read it this summer, I probably won't get around to it until the next summer. This just is screaming like July to me. Okay, we have another Target buy here. The stickers are just betraying me today. This is by Jessie Q Sutanto, and it's about this woman who accidentally kills her blind date, and then her aunties are working at this billion-dollar wedding on the coast. What was it? An island resort on the California coastline. Put me on a boat, I'm there. But anyway, her aunts are gonna like help her dispose of the body and help her cover up the crime. It sounds so cool. I also just love this cover. Like, you know, she's calling them like, help. They're like, huh? Okay, so now here's one that is a new release, but it's gonna be super summery. It is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I wrote it down. This one comes out on June 1st. That's this Tuesday. Oh my gosh. So this book follows the Riva family, and well, let me say first, I am 2 for 2 on Taylor Jenkins Reid's, yeah, Taylor Jenkins Reid's books. Why doesn't that sound right? Anyway, I've given both of the books that I've read by her, and now I'm like second guessing everything I'm saying. Okay, everything I've read by her, I've given 5 stars, so I have very high hopes for Malibu Rising. And the 2 books I've read by her, I'm just a little bandwagon reader. I've read Evelyn Hugo and Daisy Jones. But anyway, Malibu Rising, so there's this character in Daisy Jones and the Six that, to be quite honest, I really do not even remember him from the book, but his name is Mick Riva. I think he might have just been mentioned. I could be wrong. I read that book and I really don't remember him. Malibu Rising is about the Riva family, like the children. I think there might be 4 of them, but the book is supposed to take place all over the course of one night, and it's just about a lot of family drama taking place in Malibu. And then to round out this category, I do have my graphic novel version of The Great Gatsby. My mom got this for me for Christmas last year. Let me find some of the pictures that are just screaming summertime to me. I hope you can see from the glare. It's just the most beautiful, I want to say like watercolor pictures. We have some flapper dancers. Look at these pretty parties. First of all, I guess I could just show you the cover and how like the pool on the cover, the pool on the back. Anyway, Great Gatsby is one of my favorite classics. I'm really eager to read this graphic novel version, and I think that the summertime is going to be the perfect time to do that. I feel like my mood just took a huge hit. Oh my gosh, that made me a little sad. Okay, so I feel like there's a big shadow on me. This isn't, is that better? I don't know. So for this last section, I don't have any of these books physically because they've not come out yet. So this is the new release category. Just to go over it one more time, just because a book is on this list, it doesn't mean that it's gonna have that summertime feel. It just means that these are books that will be released this summer. Okay, so first I want to talk about One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Funny story-ish, I am part of the Libro partner program. I don't know what it's called, but like I can get some advanced listener copies of books like before they come out. You know how we say ARC for advanced readers copy? We need to start saying ALC for advanced listeners copy. I have an ALC for One Last Stop, and you know, this is the same author who wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, which I loved. I love that book. And One Last Stop, I think, might take the cake over that book for me, just from first of all, what I've heard about it, but also what I know that it's about. I know that there's magical realism in this book, and it has to do with this train. Like, this girl gets on this train and then like meets someone that she falls in love with, another woman. But I don't know if it's like a time loop train or if what's on the train isn't real. I'm not sure what exactly is going on there, but I think it's going to be about this group of friends, like kind of like a found family, really tight friendship group. And I love stories focusing in on people like that. And I feel like it's going to be really character driven. I hope it is, at least. Casey has been all over Twitter talking about these characters and like releasing drawings of them and what they look like, but also what they do like little things about their personalities that I guess will be further explored in the books. But it's making me feel like I know the characters before I read the book. I'll link Casey's Twitter below in case you're interested in checking that out, because I had a lot of fun scrolling through. I'm also super interested in The Other Black Girl by Zakiya. Oh, it just left me. I had it. Anyway, this book is about this young black woman who works at a publishing company, and she's tired of being the only black person to work at this company. And then they hire another black girl. They do strike up a friendship, but then this new employee kind of rises, maybe not in the ranks, but just in the hearts of everybody in the office. And then it kind of leaves Nella jealous. And then Nella, who is the first black woman who worked there, she starts getting these threatening notes like, you need to leave the company. This kind of, just from the synopsis alone, reminds me a little bit of The Whisper Network, which I like that book, but I feel like it could have been done a lot better. And so like with taking kind of a storyline like that like very loosely and then adding a lot of racial tension in, I feel like that's gonna be what puts this story over the edge of I'm super into this book. I also love anything that takes place in the publishing world, anything about editorial assistants. I'm gonna eat it right up. Oh, and I forgot to say, but The Other Black Girl and One Last Stop, they are both coming out on June 1st as well. Now let's talk about Survive the Night by Riley Sager. It's coming out on July 6th, okay? I really have my fingers crossed that it's gonna be a June book of the month pick though, because if I'm not mistaken, he did that last year with Home Before Dark. I mean, I know it was a book of the month book. I know, like, I think he's a 4P author. I think all of his books have been book of the month options, but I think Home Before Dark came out early last year. So if that's the case, I'm gonna have to drop everything and read it when it comes out. Survive the Night is about this girl named Charlie who gets stuck in a car. She's like, I think she's hitchhiking. I don't know if she's hitchhiking or if she picks up a hitchhiker. Long story short, gets stuck in a car with a very dangerous man who I guess is like a serial killer, and she has to survive the night. It sounds perfect to me. Next is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides, the same author as The Silent Patient. This comes out on June. I keep glancing and then I forget the numbers as soon as my eyes leave the page. It comes out on June 15th. I really don't know that much about this book other than it's like dark academia. A professor might be killing students in a secret society at Cambridge. It gives me Dead Poet Society vibes, which, oh, I love me some Dead Poet Society. Yeah, that's kind of the feel of the book. I don't really know that much about it because it's not something that screams Caroline, but at the same time, I loved The Silent Patient so much that I want Alex Michaelides to be that auto-buy author for me. We'll have to see though. Next is The Final Girls Support Group by Grady Hendrix. It's coming out July 13th. That is correct. This is the same author as the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, Horror Store, My Best Friend's Exorcism, things that I just love. So I'm really excited to see how he's gonna explore that final girl trope. I think it's about a man picking off final girls, you know, like women who are the sole survivors of massacres or mass murders, things like that. So it's kind of reminiscent of maybe Final Girls by Riley Sager. I do not mean to insinuate in any way that Grady Hendrix is like taking idea, because first of all, you know, there are like no original thoughts, but at the same time, everything that he does is so crazy and outside of the box that like there's just no one else out there doing it like Grady Hendrix is doing it. So I'm so excited to read anything that he puts out in the future. Lastly, we've got Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams. I didn't write down the release date of this, but I feel like it's June 15th. If I made that up, I'll change it. So this book is about a twin sister whose twin has recently jumped off of a bridge and died, and she thinks that there's something suspicious going on. She thinks that her sister would have never jumped off this bridge on her own. So she's very quickly suspicious of an officer who had pulled her sister over earlier the night that she had died. So I think it's gonna devolve into this like paranoia and who's telling the truth. And I feel like the book, just in that synopsis alone, feels very obvious. So I hope that there are some huge twists in this book. As we all know, Taylor Adams wrote No Exit. I love No Exit. Like, that is maybe my favorite thriller of all time. One of my favorite books ever. And I am so excited to see what the follow-up to No Exit is going to be. I think that this author has written books in the past, formerly under a different name. Did I dream that? I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking about that. All I'm saying is I don't think that No Exit is Taylor Adams' only book, but it is the only book by him that I have read and seen. Okay, those are all the books that are really on my radar this summer. Now, if I want to make a June TBR, I quite possibly might. I might do that for some of the months because I think I just talked about 18 books that rounded out to about 6 per month. And also there are quite a few readathons I'm gonna be participating in this summer. So like I didn't pick books out to specifically fit any prompts. So you know what I mean. Like these aren't gonna be the only books I read this summer, but I just wanted to tell you what I was looking forward to, what's on my radar, what's coming out. I'm just so excited about all of these. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I will see you in the next video. Bye.